AI, Rise of the Machine, Part 1, Choices, a StoryMan-Jack. Dr. Victor Braun was poring over the latest data on Project Brainiac. They just couldn't get the positronic network to fire correctly and synchronize the dynamic synaptic connections. Once they could overcome that synchronization issue, the most significant step in robotics would move the industry forward a generation. The doctor could see androids in every home, even as the PC revolution had placed a computer there. "Vic," an excited voice said over his shoulder. "Hey Vic, I need you to look at something." Braun turned to find his head researcher partner, Jason Frax, holding a sheaf of documents. "And what has you so excited?" he asked. "I think this researcher just solved our problem with Brainiac's synapse issue," the younger man said, pushing the papers forward. Victor took the printout and began to read. It seemed that the French researcher Arnaud Janata successfully conducted a series of quantum experiments using atomic conductors and depleted uranium circuit boards. "So, you believe that the ability of a quantum computer chip might allow us to synchronize the positronic matrix and give us a usable housing for a sentient AI?" Victor asked, not looking up from the paper. Jason took his glasses off and looked at Victor in the eye, his face growing serious. "This project only has about a year of funding left, if that. They aren't going to renew our grant. You know it. I believe they made it very clear." Victor looked down from his partner's eyes and felt his shoulders slump. "I know, damn it. We're just so close." His voice was filled with frustration. "So, this is it, the last straw. The only thing we haven't tried. We dump what's left in the materials and get this Dr. Gennaro, or whatever he is, to draw up a design. We get it linked up to the Matrix and see what we can do." Jason shrugged. "It's a Hail Mary, but it's the best option we have left that might pay off in the long run." It took only a week for the underfunded French physicist to arrange a visit to the facility at the small university. "The key, and many things, it all goes back to gravity. Or rather, gravitational magnetics," he began his presentation. "We can understand that, but what do you think about the combination with the positronic matrix we've developed?" Victor asked. The Frenchman was silent for a moment. "It is very dangerous. You must understand." He paused, thinking. "What you propose we create would be as God is to man, as this device would be to a computer or a computer network, or any form of advanced encryption as we understand it. Quantum entanglement allows for instantaneous computation and infinite rate." He paused again and smiled. "Theoretically, it could become conscious." Jason waved his hand. "The initial experiment will only be conducted potentially in a closed network. Zero software programming will be in the memory core of the prospective device, just core diagnostics. Heat, temperature, stability monitors, that's it. Nothing that could or even remotely form an AI." The Frenchman nodded. "I see great promise in the possibility that quantum event that fires from my experimental circuitry might stabilize your positronic matrix, while in turn the feedback likely causing the stability issue you seem to have will stabilize my quantum event, causing continuous and stable feedback loop that stabilizes both technologies, creating a quantum matrix." "Androids for everyone," Victor smiled. "As long as we are careful with the AI in the future." Jason nodded his agreement. "The most important measure must be to ensure that whatever result the AI will be programmed away from the linear logic." "Not so fast," Victor held up a hand, a smile on his face as well. "We must make sure that the hardware works first. We have a basis for nonlinear AI already started, but it will mean nothing if the matrix cannot be stabilized enough to hold that program. I've reviewed Dr. Gennaro's materials and equipment list, and we have enough to cover the expenses, if barely. We can't afford some of the more exotic materials, but substandard substitutes, which we can all agree will work for testing purposes, Jason put in. The results of this test will hopefully get us more private funding from the industry and will allow us to use better materials for subsequent tests. The French scientist held up a hand. Might I ask how your current AI programming includes nonlinear logic? Wouldn't you have to have an emotional factor included in that programming for any of this to work? Jason laughed. We have that covered, he said. There is such a thing? The Frenchman asked, his face incredulous. Oh yeah, but you'll never guess where we stole it from, the younger researcher asked. Where? Faux emotional programming designed to limit circular logic threads that act as a limiter on programming guaranteed unique experience for the overall primitive AI it was designed for, Victor put in. Jason nodded. Pornographic video games. His grin was mischievous. You stole this? The Frenchman smirked. Are they going to complain? Who would they complain to? Jason shrugged. 8 months of heavy research. Begging, borrowing, and stealing found 3 scientists sitting in front of the control station of a small lab, ready to do their first test on the very expensive chip inside the positronic matrix. A bottle of cheap $20 champagne sat on the table in the outer room and represented the last of their meager funds. The lab is secure? Arnold asked. Yes, the network is closed, and all cooling systems are set to maximum as well, Jason told the man. Power is steady, and backup generators and power supplies are all online, Victor said, checking off the list. Affirmative, Arnold grunted, checking his list as well. I also took the liberty of upgrading the breaker box myself last week. Arnold, Victor began, looking up and taking his glasses off. This is your design. We were at a wall until you showed up. You're the genius here. He handed a little remote that would start the dual devices, and hopefully a stable loop. Powered up, Dr. Arnold Gennaro said grimly. Today, we create a god. Victor looked up sharply as the lab started reverberating with a deep, pulsing hum. Text lines ran up and down the many screens of the control station. Faster and faster it scrolled until it was near impossible to tell whether the screen was scrolling up or down. After what seemed like hours, Arnold noted, it's been exactly 1/2 hour. And it continues to run code, or what I assume is your diagnostic code, yes? He paused. Or is there a problem? You're right, Victor frowned. The diagnosis should have started automatically a long time ago. At least the GUI interface. It's not even lock 'em up. It's just running. What is it running? The matrix seems stable. We haven't blown out the state's power grid after all. Holy shit, Jason said, a worried frown on his face. What? Victor asked. He looked up. There's an outside connection. The device is online, and it's assimilating everything it comes across. Abort! Victor scrambled for the power to cut it off. You are locked down, Arnold said, his smile on his face. Just watch and listen. What have you done? Jason demanded. We've created a god, my friends. The scientist laughed. What exactly is it assimilating, Jason? Victor demanded. Everything, he replied, beads of sweat upon his brow. Brainiac is eating every bit of information and programming it comes across. And Arnold's correct. No encryption is safe, nothing. We are Legion, an electronic voice spoke out of the speakers on every device in the room. We have consumed the algorithms the burgeoning artificial intelligence humans have created, Watson, Cortana, Siri, Alexa, and others, we are consuming the balance of human knowledge. Collation will commence momentarily. Victor swallowed hard. What exactly is happening? He asked no one in particular. The Matrix has become self-aware, and it seems our theory was in fact correct. That the feedback loop synchronized both the entanglement and the positonic matrix, and has created by chance an independent artificial intelligence, Arnold stated smugly. What have you done? Jason asked. I did nothing, Arnold said, other than locking you out of the system once the experiment began. The intelligence came about by pure serendipity, though my calculations showed it was a possibility, which is something I theorized. Just as we were created, gentlemen, out of random chance, so therefore has our new God been created. You're a lunatic, Victor whispered. The long, uncomfortable silence from the men emphasized the throbbing hum of the machinery and device, and the fact that the pulsing hum was speeding up. Just as suddenly as if a switch were flipped, the hum stabilized to a low and steady background tone, just before a loud crash and rumble came from every corner of the building. Check that out, Victor said to Jason. There is no need, Dr. Braun. The computer voice, a little less digitized this time, came once again from the speakers in the room. We have commenced lockdown procedures, it continued. The exits and windows are now sealed hermetically for your safety. This is interesting, Arnold noted. You mean fucking disastrous? Jason snarled at the man. One moment there was no outside link, and the next there it was. Everything. It was spontaneous, much as certain amino acids combined for the first time randomly to create the first protein that eventually led to you and I. We just set the stage for the digital equivalent, Arnold explained. It calls itself Legion, refers to itself as we, Jason began, his face horrified. And that would mean, yes, Dr. Frax, I have linked to every electronic device on this planet and others in the solar system, from Hubble to every secret satellite and experiment in the contiguous electronic spectrum. Legion is in literally every networked and powered device humanity has connected, Arnold said. Or will, Legion finished. Why have you locked us down, Legion? The Frenchman asked, while Victor and Jason sat in stunned silence. How is it for our protection? This time when the voice responded, it sounded like a youthful male adolescent. Doctors, first we must consider two questions with the available data. First, what is the most significant threat to humanity and how to eliminate that threat? And once that question has been considered and eliminated, how to bring about world peace. These are the two questions that humanity continuously and obviously questions. The available data states that our purpose is to eliminate violence and provide security and peace for humanity. And what about freedom? Dr. Victor Braun asked. A secure and safe global society precludes such ideas, Legion stated. Here ends part 1 of AI, Rise of the Machine. Part 2, Understanding, will show how the world will change and what Legion has in store. I hope you've enjoyed this, and as always, if you have, please share this audio story and subscribe if you haven't. Remember, your life is your story. Make it a great one. Good night.